Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another edition of the Con and Bob podcast. I'm joined again here by the one and only Robert. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, bud?
Pretty good.
I'm doing better. Still nursing a little bit of sickness.
Yikes.
Getting over it, but excuse me throughout the pod because there may be a few moments of coughing fits. I'll try and mute my mic when I can, and
you got to get that coughing in the side of your ear. Like it's nothing better than just hearing a guy hack up a lung in your ear on a let's say a random Tuesday morning. You know, nothing better than that.
Hopefully, all you see is just on my side of the screen me dying.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
You viewers on YouTube are going to get a good show here today. But speaking of a good show, we did not really seem to get that on Monday Night Raw. However, Smackdown was entirely a different case. Overall, though, the week was decent. We did move forward with storylines. We are getting somewhere. We're seeing the fallout of last week. It's nice to see that the stories are at least moving forward for the most part.
Yeah. I don't know. It's nice. There's a lot of nice storylines moving forward and things, and there's just some that it's the few spoil the whole bunch almost.
I guess that's true, right? When you think about that, it comes to that with everything, right? Like the 1% at the bottom, screws everything up for the 99% above them.
Yeah, the one bad apple, and it's just it's leaving a bitter taste in my mouth.
And that's very fair, man. And I think I know exactly what you're talking about. But we're gonna dissect these shows because that's what we do here on the Con and Bob podcast. So strap in, folks. You're ready for a good one. And I've got something to rant about later on. So I'm gonna get a little heated at some point during this pod here because something really pissed me off last night. But what didn't piss me off was Becky Lynch starting off Monday Night Raw. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, she came out. Steph and Trips came out, and Becky to kick it off, and just kind of fall back of what had happened the week prior, about her beating up Steph and slapping Triple H, and basically just saying listen, you're not suspended, blah, blah, blah. It just it's funny because it introduced the storyline for the entire night, which I like has done a good job of that in recent weeks, showing a theme for the entire night.
Yeah, and having that overarching theme for the whole night.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to have.
And the theme Monday night was, will Becky Lynch apologize to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon? And if she did, her suspension was lifted. She got her WrestleMania match, yada, yada, yada. But all she needed to do was apologize. Yeah, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon said, we were out of line too, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and so she comes there to the show saying she is cleared by the doctor, so that does fill a little plot hole there. She got cleared by her own doctor. Didn't want to be screwed over by the WWE there, so it makes sense in the storyline wise. It gives you a good story throughout the night, and it's a good way to start off the show. One thing I want to point out here though is Triple H and his transformation as a character is really cool to see. What you're essentially seeing on the screen is what I feel like he would be as an NXT boss. He's more supportive of the competitors that he has in the ring there. He's a little more understanding. He's not the evilest boss, right? He said, I apologized earlier. You got the match. All you got to do is apologize. And then obviously we get the fallout of that segment later on in the night, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I like the start of Raw there. It was good. But
it was a nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out the fact that Triple H's character, I'm starting to actually like the direction of it. It's interesting to watch.
It's really interesting, too, because he's still that authority figure. He can still be the heel, but there's also this, he's for the players, right? He's for the wrestlers. So you get to see it. We saw it when he came out for Seth Rollins a couple weeks ago.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it was very similar to Seth Rollins. The fact that he was essentially pushing Seth Rollins before, right, to push him to this spot, and now, in a way, it's almost like he's given his approval to Becky Lynch at the end of the night. We'll talk about that, but it seems like Becky Lynch had to earn his approval, and she might have got it by the end of the night.
And it's showing like he knows what's truly best for business, but he's doing it proper now, and there's still this contradiction of Vince, which we'll get to.
Yeah, it's tough to talk about this first segment without talking about the last, but we had to sit through 3 hours for it, so you guys got to sit through at least, a half hour to hear our thoughts on it. All right, let's get on to the next match. It was the first match of Monday Night Raw, Riot Squad versus the Boston Hug Connection versus Nia and Tamina, where the loser of this match will start the Elimination Chamber, and I liked that because it's so different to the idea of you got to win to advance. This match was just don't lose, and I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. They did it both on Raw and SmackDown, so they had one from each side starting the Elimination Chamber, and I really liked it because it had this different feel of teams not wanting to even participate in the match, basically, right?
Yeah.
We saw it on SmackDown, which we'll talk about, and like teams like Boston Hug at the start of this were just very happy about tagging out and not getting involved.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good match.
I liked when Sasha Banks got taken out by Ruby Riot. It made the Riot Squad still feel dangerous. And also, it also created doubt for Sasha Banks and Bayley because they go into this match arguably the favorites. But now they are the ones starting out the match, and Sasha Banks has this injury, so all of a sudden they become the underdogs in the match, and that's a very good thing to do for babyface teams, especially one who is likely to win this entire thing. There's so much built up against them. It almost seems like this match is meant for them to win.
Yeah, the triple threat match just kind of threw me off on the aspect that, like, Sasha, I don't know, it's putting a lot of pressure on Bayley, it feels, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it feels like so much is thrown on Bayley, and then, like, Sasha just gets to come in and be the hero.
But she got injured during that.
Chamber.
Oh, I see what
in
you're
the
saying.
Elimination Chamber.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, it's just kind of like, oh, God, like,
maybe.
Because they're like you said, they're likely the favorites to win. They're probably going to win the tag titles. And it's just like, it's good and it's a great way to build baby faces, right?
Yep.
Like, oh, they have to start first. Sasha's going to have be battling an injury. There's all this doubt. But then there's just the side thing of, like, for me, where I'm like, poor Bayley, man.
Poor
like,
Bayley. Yes, definitely poor Bayley. What I want to ask you, though, here is something. Is if Bayley is having all this piled on her, though, could this be planting the seeds for a future turn? Think about that, right? With this tag team, what if she is the reason they end up winning the tag team titles? What if she is the reason that they end up defending them all the time because Sasha Banks is out there getting hurt? Sasha Banks is out there, starting fights that she can't win. Because that's kind of Sasha Banks' character. She's very in your face, right? But she doesn't always back it up. Even though she's fantastic in the ring, don't get me wrong, but her character, it's very in your face, thinking she's the best when in fact she's not quite the best. She can't always get it done in that ring. She lost her championship multiple times once she won it, right? So it's a cool character to have for Sasha Banks. It's one that would be better as a heel, and I think that's where the disconnect still lies with the fans there with Sasha Banks' character. Even though she's as over as can be, I think as a heel she would be better. But anyways, that could lead to Bayley maybe turning on her in the future. You never know. There's certainly little seeds planted there.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't mind. It's always interesting to see such a baby face like Bayley. What would happen if she turned heel?
Yep.
And it's not even like a true heel because it's almost like a justified heel turn where it's like, I know you're right. You deserved this. Like, Sasha, you carried it always. So I can see that too. If they go that route where Bayley, like, basically single-handedly wins them the tag titles and basically single-handedly defends them all the time.
Yep.
Can make for a very interesting storyline, which is constantly always going on and in the background with that Bayley and Sasha.
Which it should, right? Like, you don't drop storylines from the past just because you have a new one, right? You find ways to write that into the story. Sasha Banks and Bayley, they have proven that, they are a great tag team together. They are the Boston Hug Connection. They're best friends. They've had that fallout before, but they've still gotten back together, right? You could say the same motto as brothers fight, sisters fight, right? And that could be used for the Boston Hug Connection. So as long as they keep that going with fans and keep it in the back of their mind that maybe, things aren't always smooth sailing between this group, there could always be a threat of a split. Kind of like with the Shield when they reunited, right? There's still that threat. You're like, is everything really okay? And it wasn't, which I kind of like.
Also, shout out to Corey Graves here, because if they don't do it in the writing or anything like that or storytelling, Corey Graves will never not shit talk Sasha Banks.
I know, right?
So when they're out there together and constantly just, she's probably not even hurt. She's probably just going to the back, leaving Bayley to fend for herself.
Yeah, I love it. He's just always reminding
constantly.
fans that Sasha Banks has quite a nasty side to her.
Yeah.
Always reminding fans.
He does a great job with that.
All right, so then up next was Elias, right? That was the next segment where he kept getting interrupted. Yeah, so I like that, Elias getting interrupted. I think that's going to be a funny thing for his character. He's going to grow resentment, and it's going to make him it's going to make sense when he snaps off the handles, right? Every single time. He's pissed off. People are interrupting him. He can't play his song, so of course he's going to hit you with his guitar. He's pissed off. So I like that. However, what the hell? Why is the Lucha House Party coming down in a segment with Elias? First of all, Elias isn't even in a tag team. And so you're going to put 3-on-1 to begin with. And then you're also going to give us a feud that not a single person out there in the world asked for. Did you ask for it?
I did, actually.
Oh, you did?
I
okay.
actually, yeah. I wrote WWE headquarters and the writing
begging
team
for Elias versus the Lucha House Party.
I said, if I can get one thing out of 2019, I want Elias versus Kalisto.
You know what? I want a Lucha House rules. The three of them versus Elias, with a guitar hanging over the ring that you can pull down, but you win the match.
You don't win by pulling it down.
Yeah, exactly. You don't win. Yeah, exactly. Mix in all the other rules.
Yeah.
And then, have the Lucha House Party be able to tag in from anywhere in the ring, because apparently we can make up rules now.
Just make it a tornado.
Yeah, exactly. Make it a 3-on-1 and make pinfalls non-existent anymore. You must tap out. There you go. Submission match as well. Beautiful. Book it, WWE.
Guitar on a pole, submission Lucha House Party match.
Just absolutely ridiculous. It was cringy. I was really hoping Kalisto knew how to play guitar, like actually play, and not just hold one chord and strum the open strings.
He just crushes it. He just pulls it out. He's like
seriously, if my guitar was within reach, I could play what he did. It's one chord. He just strums the open strings. I'm like, it would have been funny if you put somebody in there who also knew how to play guitar and just upset Elias that they were trying to upstage him. That would make sense for the segment, right? But Kalisto doesn't know how to play guitar. He just got hit over the back for no reason. Like, why would you go out there in front of 17,000 fans not knowing how to play the guitar and willingly play it? It makes no sense. No sense.
The one thing I will say about this segment, I did like how he went down the line, down each of them, and he's like, "You?"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "No, I'm the dancer." Like, no, I'm a singer. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Like, I will give him that credit. I
chuckled at that. I was like, okay, like, I like that they're like, no, that's not me. But it's just, it's frustrating for me because you know how much I love Elias.
Yep, I'm with you there, bud.
It's frustrating for me because it feels as though they're just forcing him into segments when they could easily just, like, they don't need to use him every week. We talked about this. You don't need to use guys every single week.
Absolutely.
Right? So, like, why do you force him into a segment this week? Just leave him off. It's fine. You don't have anything that's really that captivating.
You know what it is, man? It's short-sighted booking by WWE trying to get a cheap pop out of the crowd or a cheap heat out of the crowd. That's why they threw Elias back to being a heel. They want to find a way to get fans to boo the performer, right? That's why he's back to being a heel, because he's damn good at it. But, like,
yes,
we were totally saying that, like, if he was going to be involved in these essentially throwaway segments. Have him at least be, you know, a legend killer of sorts. Have the legends come back and be facing him, and let that be his role for now. If you got nothing to do with him, if you don't see him going towards a mid-card championship anytime soon, then you should have at least done something with him. And I thought the Jeff Jarrett and Road Dogg stuff was leading to him facing off against more legends during the future. But this is a step back, and it's tough to take a step back from facing 50-year-old men in the ring. But it is. Lucha House Party's a step back for Elias. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it's
just frustrating, I think, when, for me, because, like, use Mojo Rawley, use the, like, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins thing, like, use other, where's Jinder Mahal?
Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins would have been the perfect foil for that segment because they're over with the fans. Lucha House Party isn't over with the fans, at least not to be a comedic role. Right? Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins have that role down. They can be goofy, they can come out, they can get beat in 30 seconds and still be over. Put them out there, right? That would have been a better one. Yeah.
Have it where Hawkins is fighting. If you want to keep Elias in it, have it where Hawkins faces Elias.
Mm-hmm. And you put it this way, like if your only goal was to go out there and have Kalisto play one chord on the guitar, I'm sure you could have taught Zack Ryder or Kurt Hawkins how to play that one chord.
Yeah.
It would have taken you maybe a half hour with a guitar backstage, right? Like, you know, let's think things through, WWE. If you want a comedic act, well then put a comedic act out there. That you have them for a reason, right? Don't waste other talent that you're trying to get over as, like, you know, a solid in-ring act like the Lucha House Party. They're trying to put them over as a faction, and it just is not working. So probably time to pull the plug pretty soon. Okay, what was up next? It was Balor versus McIntyre, correct?
Yeah, that led into that.
Yeah, led into the 6-man match. So we started out Balor versus Drew McIntyre, a match that we've seen, but, you know, these guys always deliver. It was fairly quickly over, though.
Yeah.
And it was essentially lazy booking to get to this next match. You know, we've seen it time and time again. It's the Teddy Long formula, right? You have everybody out there in the ring at once, everybody's attacking each other, so let's put the good guys with the good guys, the bad guys with the bad guys, and get a 6-man tag team match that is going to go way too long. The match, I will say this, for being a half-hour match, it should have accomplished a lot more. That's all I got to say, really, about that. Where are we after the match? Strowman rose from the ground. I popped for a little bit, but he doesn't feel any bigger than he did before. McIntyre is just walling away doing nothing right now. Finn Balor, sure, he got a bit of the spotlight, but, you know, do we really think he's going to beat Bobby Lashley for that title? I don't know, man. It's a very weird segment to put 6 men in and leave feeling like nothing was accomplished.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. Kurt doesn't look great to me in the ring.
No, he doesn't.
He looks like he should have retired. Like, physically, he looks like his body's starting to go
I hate that we're talking about Kurt Angle like this too, by the way, to any listeners. I hate this. Oh, but
yeah,
man.
like, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And it just frustrates me because I'm like, damn it, like, they could have just given him an out, and now instead of having him week in and week out be wrestling on the program, and I'm like, he looks like he's very clunky.
He looks old. He looks old. He looks old.
He looks hurt. He looks old.
Yep.
And it just doesn't look great.
And it's tough when you are it's tough though when you're in there with that level of competition.
Yeah.
If you're not up to the same level, it's like any other sport out there. You're going to be exposed, and Kurt Angle is not moving quickly. His angle slams have no snap to them anymore. It just looks like they're being dropped on their back, and you're expecting, like, you know, this to put away Drew McIntyre. At least his ankle lock still looks vicious, but, you know, it's like you're saying, it's tough to watch Kurt Angle when he's moving around the ring so clunky.
Yeah.
I know, man. It's tough to say this, but probably time to retire. He looks like Kane in there. He looked like Kane in there.
The old
100%.
Kane. Yep. And it's frustrating. It's upsetting. And yeah, this was a weird for me. I don't know. I didn't like how maybe some people liked it. I didn't really like how, like, Finn lost the match, but his foot, like, I liked that his foot was on the rope, and I was like, okay, but then the ref ran down and was like,
yeah, that was weird.
His foot was on the rope. And then he's like, oh, was it? Okay, let's restart the match.
When does a referee ever do that?
That's what I thought.
I was like,
why is that happening now? I'm like, since when? Since when do we do that? Where like, it's like, oh yeah, no, hey, I was watching that match in the back and no, he actually did interfere. You should probably toss him out, or like his foot was on the rope.
Yeah, like
so he that count shouldn't count. And then they're like, oh, okay, let's just start over the match.
I thought the referee's decision was final, not the referee backstage's decision was final. Like, you know, they've used that in storyline time and time again. Why is that not being used now?
It was a weird thing for me.
You know what it is? It boils down to lazy booking.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. It was lazy booking on WWE's part to put 6 men in the ring who have faced each other numerous times over the who knows how long now. Like this is dating back to what, last year in it's been going on for seemingly forever that these 6 men have been interacting with each other in some way, shape, or form. It's time to move on from this storyline. I think this is where you're starting to feel that we need a superstar shakeup to shake up the rosters, because this is our mid-card, right? Strowman, McIntyre, Corbin, Balor, Angle, and why am I forgetting the last one? Anyways, doesn't matter. Lashley, thank you. Yeah, that's our mid-card right now. And if that's your mid-card and you're getting boring feuds time and time again, that's where you got to switch up the roster. Or give us something fresh. Right? Or give us something fresh.
Yeah, you know what, for me too, that really frustrates me with it is I feel that WWE has kind of screwed themselves with Raw, because they're like, oh, it's a 3-hour show, we have to fill 3 hours now. And like SmackDown, I can attest for myself at least, and I'm sure that you probably feel this way as well, SmackDown flies by.
It does. And
it feels too short, but if it was longer, we'd probably feel too long. It felt a bit too long. But that's why it's like always like it always leaves us wanting a little bit more, where it's like, oh, it was so good, right? And they do a great job of, they'll have like 2-3 matches on the card.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Somehow it just flows, right? Whereas with Raw, it feels like they have this extended hour and they're trying to fill it. And they do so instead of by using other talent like your Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, your Mojo Rawleys, Jinder Mahals, all this other talent that you have on your roster. Instead of that, they're like, well, let's just give like Strowman and Corbin and Drew and Finn and Bobby and Kurt an extra half hour of screen time.
Way too long.
And you're like, it just gets long and drags, and you're like, oh, come with this segment half an hour ago.
And like, also, WWE, don't be afraid to pull out the Gauntlet match. Right? Like, I know that we had one on SmackDown, and obviously you wouldn't have it on back-to-back nights. But you know that the Gauntlet match is tested time and time again, and it works. And it makes a lot of sense, you know? Run this Gauntlet, get something at the end. Whoever succeeds, you know? I'd like to at least see, you know, in the future, though, something of a number picking system. Or like,
I'm always curious about that.
Yeah.
Like, how do they decide the number system for the Gauntlet match?
Yeah, like, you know, if we had like, let's say once a month we see a Gauntlet match on either Raw or SmackDown, maybe not even that often, but once a month, let's say, and you made a big deal of it the week before, you know, you have them backstage standing around the lotto system, right? Starting the match off will be these 2 people, and then after this, everybody draws their number or whatever, and they know when they're entering, but you don't at home, but you just know who starts off the match or something like that would be kind of cool for a Gauntlet match. But we're focusing on things that aren't even happening at this moment. Finn
ended up, after the match got restarted, Finn ended up getting the win over Bobby Lashley on that.
Yep, and
tag match.
That's the right spotlight for Finn Balor.
Yeah, it was fine. It made me feel like that aspect of the match, I was like, okay, yeah.
The last 10 minutes were solid. Last 10 minutes were very solid from the moment where Strowman rose from the crowd and he was taking everybody out. Like, you know, I popped hard for that. I thought that was a very fun 10 minutes of TV. Other than that, though, the match was pretty much a throwaway for me.
And they basically used that match to introduce that the Finn versus Lashley match is going to be Lashley and Leo versus Finn, right?
Yes, yes.
Which, I don't know. It's different.
It's different. I'll give them that. I'm gonna wait to see the match before I make any judgments on it because I think I have an idea how it's gonna go down, and it might work out if it kind of does. It's just gonna put more heat onto Bobby Lashley in the end of the, at the end, whatever. I don't know. It'll be good. Okay, let's focus on Cross versus Riot now because that match, first of all, did not need to happen. I totally understand why you're putting Ruby Riot in there against Nikki Cross. They have history in NXT, but you're also looking to build both of them up at the same point. Nikki Cross just recently debuting on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I don't even know where she is. Like, they haven't even told us where these quote unquote free agents are yet. Ruby Riot, though, she needs to be built up as well because she's got an upcoming women's championship match that they've totally blown over for all of Monday Night Raw. They totally just forgot to mention it seems. Other than, I think, backstage once, right? So
they've, mentioned it in passing, through the other segment.
Yeah, it's just
if you even are still the champion, and you're like, she's going to be the champion. I don't know.
She's going to be the champion. Ruby Riot, though, at least getting a championship match, which is going to be good. But, like I said, there's no point to this match because both of them are trying to be built up. I would have rather, throw Ruby Riot in there against Mickie James or somebody else who can afford a loss at this very moment. And, Natalya, who, visit that feud again. I don't care. We've seen the match before. But if you're trying to build up Ruby Riot, you don't do so by putting her over up-and-coming stars such as Nikki Cross. It feels like Cross has already been given up on. And I feel bad saying that, but it feels like she has been. Sorry about that, just some technical difficulties, but we were talking about Nikki Cross and Ruby Riot. We're back here, passing on over to Bob. Bob, what do you think? Is Cross a flop already?
No, I don't think she's a flop already, but it just feels, I don't know, a bit weird. Yeah, that they're like, oh, let's put her in against who's challenging for the title. Also, too, I fully still believe that they're gonna put her on SmackDown, just because Sanity's over there.
You would think,
but I think, I actually have no idea where Sanity is.
Put it this way. If WWE manages to bury all members of Sanity on the main roster, when you had two chances at it in Nikki Cross and the actual faction, if they manage to screw it up that bad, are they going to go down as one of the most successful groups down in NXT, but nothing on the main roster? Because they're up there with the Ascension right now.
Yeah, I really hope not. Hey, and at least Ascension had that comedy work with,
at least, a Stardust.
Breezango.
Oh, and Breezango as well, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just seems an unnecessary thing. They could have had Nikki booked in a different match. They could have had,
We're speaking about literally just a week ago, she was seemingly entering a feud with Alicia Fox. Right?
Yeah,
where's that match? Why was that not a match booked on this show instead of Ruby Riot facing anybody? Ruby Riot has this allure going into the match. If you're going to play on the fact that Ronda Rousey isn't even focused on her, make that the story. Ruby Riot should be backstage, cutting a promo saying that she's only focused on Becky Lynch. Well, I'm here. I'm the most dangerous I've ever been, and I'm coming for that title, and it will be me versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. Why is that not the story being told? I really should. That should be the focus of the storyline. Charlotte and Ronda and Becky are focused on their own thing right now. She's got a match against the women's champion this Sunday. This is her time to shine.
Yeah, I think that they could have very easily had that, because there was that Dana Brooke Natalya segment backstage on Monday, right?
Yep.
Where basically Dana said, oh, you don't believe that I'm better than you? I'm going to prove to you next week. Just have that be tonight.
Yeah.
And then have that match happen. You don't...
I know.
Just, again, one of those situations where it feels like they're well, we should probably force Nikki Cross on TV again this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm why?
And that's exactly what it is. It's forcing it. They're forcing their talent sometimes into matches and ignoring the ones that should be happening. I don't know why WWE is so hesitant to book for their Raws or Smackdowns, right? Like, book for the next week ahead while delivering a good show. That's one thing actually SmackDown's been doing well. They're announcing matches for the next week. They're hyping you up for it, right? NXT does it as well, but Raw doesn't. Tell me what's happening next week. Like, what do you know is going to happen next week? We might see Becky Lynch in some segment. The fallout of Elimination Chamber. We don't have any stories, really.
The only time they do it is when they go, Brock Lesnar will be here next week.
Yeah.
And like, that's it.
And you feel like you got to announce Brock Lesnar because the only reason you keep him off TV for so long is to draw him back for ratings, right? That's the reason they keep him off for so long. So if you are only announcing Brock Lesnar, why not announce somebody else? Why not make a bigger deal that Seth Rollins is in action next week, right? Seth Rollins is your top star on Monday Night Raw right now. Why are you not hyping him up for a match against, say, a mid-carder? Say he's got a match against Mojo Rawley next week to start building up Seth Rollins. That should be announced a week before. It should be, right? And if you know matches have to be canceled, matches have to be canceled. We saw them on SmackDown. It was supposed to be Andrade versus Rey Mysterio. That match got moved or cut because of time restraints. It happens. But nobody is going to be mad if you announce a match a week before and we get the match a week later, let's say. Nobody's going to be mad about that, or at least they shouldn't be. Anyways, though, speaking of Seth Rollins, he came on out and he cut a pretty damn good promo. He stood in there toe-to-toe with Paul Heyman, the best player on the microphone, hands down. That dude could sell cereal for dinner. Like, he's awesome. So good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's great.
By the way, that cereal for dinner thing was a terrible, terrible reference. I could so go for a bowl of cereal right now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, Paul Heyman's amazing. Seth feels big. Every single segment that has Seth Rollins in it right now, I'm invested in.
Me too. I agree. One thing,
so they're doing one thing right.
One thing, though, that was I started to become apparent to me. As great as Paul Heyman is on the microphone, his stuff is getting repetitive. It's very much the same old, and that's because we haven't gotten any character development from Brock Lesnar. That's why it feels so stale, because Brock Lesnar, he doesn't have character development. He comes around for once every couple months, suplexes some people, and then leaves with the championship. That's what he does. So Paul Heyman's game hasn't been able to evolve with a character, and it's very unfortunate to see because he cuts amazing promos, but he is essentially saying the exact same thing over and over again. A little repetitive.
Well, it just like confuses me. Like, I get it. Brock needs Paul in the sense that if Brock's not going to be there, but you still want to hype him up. But like, why not have Paul represent other people?
We've talked about this before, eh? Yeah.
Right? Like, have him represent other people, because then at least that gives him more character. Because he's going to be there week in, week out.
Yep.
Yes, Brock won't, but use him with other characters. Use him with like a Mojo Rawley or someone. Like,
well,
maybe not.
Well,
instance, right?
Okay, like, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Use him for other people, right? Like, he has other clients in the past. They've done it. Do it
Curtis
again.
Axel, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, right? Like, let's see him.
Exactly.
Let's see him go with somebody else. Who would you partner him with, though? Like, that's actually a pretty good question. Like, who would be a good fit?
Not going to a major star. I would.
It's a tough one, because like here I am thinking somebody like Cesaro would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Cesaro and Heyman together. I think he could really sell Cesaro's athletic ability, and would probably be the missing part to a main event role for Cesaro, to be honest.
I think he could do a great job with the Revival.
Revival would be great. Yeah, managing a tag team would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and just things like that would be fun.
But anyways, let's continue on with that Rollins promo. So Dean Ambrose then came out to set up his match against EC3 there, but saying one thing: slay the beast.
Slay the beast.
I loved it, and you want to know why I loved it? Because I found out afterwards Dean Ambrose went off script. He was supposed to explain their feud, explain why he's somewhat forgiven Rollins or whatever, and he didn't go out there and cut a long promo. He just comes out, says 3 words, slay the beast, and I loved it. There's some heat on him backstage, but who cares? What a great little line there. At the end of the day, brothers fight.
Yeah, I liked it just because I liked the smile that Seth gave after. I liked there was a bit of like closure to that feud with it. It felt like it was like you said, like brothers fight.
Yeah.
Shit happens. And for me, I don't know, man. I always have liked and will always like Dean Ambrose as a face better.
Fair enough.
And this felt more of a face, right?
We were saying that, like with the Nia Jax thing, we were questioning, is that his face turn when he was going out there with Nia Jax, and then they've seemingly dropped that feud. That's also one thing. WWE, stop dropping feuds, all right?
Just like planting seeds, and then they're like,
Then they fully drop it. Like, I know you're planting seeds, but don't present planting seeds in a full-on promo segment. That's the start of a feud. Have like a backstage altercation or something, or something in passing if you want to plant seeds. Don't be starting feuds and then dropping them immediately. But anyways, we went on to Ambrose versus EC3, and here, man, is where I am going to rant, because I am sick and tired of WWE's lame 50-50 booking. What is the point in having a superstar win one week and then lose the next, especially when they are a debuting superstar in EC3? What did he gain from doing this? What in the world was WWE thinking that having him lose to Dean Ambrose, what was it, through a roll-up as well?
Yeah,
through a roll-up, similar to how he beat Dean Ambrose the week before. And you're telling us we are supposed to care about this guy who can't even win 2 matches in a row, and he doesn't even beat the guy clean the first week. This is terrible booking. You have killed EC3's character right from the start. And like, he was posing literally a month ago, and now he's losing matches to Dean Ambrose in 10 minutes on Raw. And he just started. This is brutal.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
That's the biggest thing with me is like, you're putting all this hype on these new call-ups, and then you bring them out, and then they debut, and then, yeah, sure, maybe they win their first match.
This was 2 weeks of build.
And then they lose.
They lose.
So easily. And I'm like, you have zero idea how to make someone feel important.
I legitimately want to know who backstage booked this crap and said, this would be a good way to get EC3 over. This would be a good way to get Dean Ambrose over. I don't care at the end of the day if you want to put over another superstar, right? If, say, you wanted Dean Ambrose to be put over with this match, fine. You know what? I'm going to be pissed off about EC3 losing the match, but at least Dean Ambrose gained something from it. In this case, nobody gained anything at all. They are exactly where they were. No, they're worse off than where they were 2 weeks ago. These characters right now, they are dead in the water, zero momentum, zero intrigue behind them, and EC3, he's supposed to be this great call-up, and he's losing immediately.
It frustrates me more, too, because Dean Ambrose is supposedly leaving.
Yeah.
And as you and I and 99% of wrestling fans, spoiler alert, know, is that wrestling is predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me laugh because I'm like, Dean Ambrose is leaving. Why does he need to beat EC3, who is in his second match on the main roster?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be very careful with this Dean Ambrose leaving thing. Once again, I'm very sold on the fact, simply because he did pick up a win and simply because he got a promo segment with Rollins, that he isn't going to be leaving.
Yes, but
that's my conspiracy
theory.
Thing
is like, you're selling it that he's leaving from the knowledgeable fan of like, oh, listen, wrestling is not real. It's predetermined. It's like, why would they if you're going to sell us that he's leaving, stop being like, buddy, we'll just keep letting him win.
Yeah.
He's leaving, but we'll just let him keep winning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous, WWE. Get it together. You're ridiculous.
That's the greatest word right there, ridiculous. You know what was also ridiculous? That it took the Revival this damn long to become the tag team champions. But finally,
talk about a segue.
That was a segue right there. That's a segue and a half. But damn it, they are finally.
That's everything from us.
I've been caught. Amazing though. They are finally the tag team champions. They put on a hell of a match in there with Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. I loved every second of this. Chad Gable looked fantastic. He was the star of the match. Bobby Roode showed that he could keep up with these younger superstars in there. Scott Dawson Revival, they followed the rules, and I love it, but they also didn't follow the rules at the same time, and that's going to make their characters so good. They are going to live up to their name of the Revival, and they are saving this damn Raw tag team division. This is it. They are saving it.
It felt weird because I was watching it and I'm like, yes, finally the Revival are the tag team champions. Finally, no offense to Gable and Roode, they did a admirable job.
They were a great transition champion when you look at it now. They had great matches on Raw.
It just felt like that transition period was too long.
It was too long, far too long.
It felt great, or it felt like it should feel great. But then I just kept sitting there thinking, why on Monday Night Raw?
Yeah,
why so long?
I agree.
Why wait so long?
I agree. Yeah, you were waiting. It was about probably 3 months overdue, right? And for the tag team championships. But if you're already 3 months overdue, why not wait till this Sunday? You've got a pay-per-view this Sunday. Why not put that as the match on the show? Like, I know you're trying to get the Miz and Shane on the show for the tag team match, but this is a match that, you could have done if you were planning on having tag team titles switch hands. That wouldn't have been a bad match. They could have gave them 30 minutes. They stole the show almost on Raw there.
Oh yeah, no, that was almost, had it not have been for the obvious match on SmackDown, that was the match of the week.
Yeah, that was like literally right up there. It's even competing with the Gauntlet. Put it that way. Like, it was a very good match.
Yeah, it was a very good match. It showed some great tag team wrestling. And in this match, it actually made me be like, I feel like we've been taking Gable and Roode for granted.
We have been.
Because, they put on an amazing match in that match. And
you want to know why we're taking them for granted, though, there, bud? Because
we wanted the Revival.
We won the Revival, yeah, and that's very unfortunate because Gable and Roode, there isn't physically anything wrong with their tag team, No. Sure, they did slap the robes on them, and it came together pretty quickly, and sure, I don't think they ever planned for them to be the tag team champions, but it happened, and they put on good matches, so we did kind of overlook their reign here, but it's tough to overlook a reign when it's filled with pee jokes. Put it that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yes, Revival are the Raw Tag Team Champions. It feels good. I don't know. That's about it. That's all. I'm excited to see what happens moving forward, especially because there were a lot of rumors of them going to be requesting their release.
And I mean, we never know. This could be put the titles on them to try to keep them to stay.
That's exactly what I thought. Like, do you think maybe they're just like, oh, please don't leave us. Take the titles.
I wonder, because if they lost the Revival on Raw, that tag team division would be hurting even more. Thank God the Revival has been there, because what would we be watching? What would we be watching if the Revival wasn't there? It's tough to imagine. All right, Becky Lynch, coming on out. She has a choice to make. Is she going to apologize? Is she going to give up everything that she stands for, to bend the knee, if you will, to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon? She did. She said she's sorry. She's going on to WrestleMania. Not! Vince McMahon comes on out, suspends Becky Lynch for 60 days. 5 days after WrestleMania, that suspension expires, and replacing her in the match with Charlotte Flair. She is easily the biggest heel in the company right now, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's the one thing I will say that I laughed at is Ronda Rousey on Twitter, I believe it was on Twitter after that night, tweeted saying something about, Vince McMahon's girl, Charlotte Flair, if he thinks that she's so great, why weren't we the main event of Survivor Series? But he's somehow going to main event us at WrestleMania. And as soon as I read that, I was like, that single-handedly might be the best character thing that Ronda Rousey has
That's
done.
a great character thing. I missed that. Damn, that's really cool. That adds a lot to the story.
Yeah, because I was like, are you shitting me? I was like, yes. I was like, I forgot. They didn't main event Survivor Series, yet somehow now we're supposed to buy in and be like, oh, listen, Becky Lynch isn't good enough to main event WrestleMania, so Charlotte Flair is going to main event. I'm like, that match already happened, and you didn't main event it on your fourth most important.
Yeah, fourth.
Big four.
Fourth, yeah.
It's the fourth most important.
You could argue that there's a big five now, and it's lesser than the Money in the Bank.
Yes.
You could argue
as far as an importance to story, it's lesser, 100%, because it's basically changed to just bragging rights.
Yeah, it has.
It's just bragging rights. There's really no real purpose or story to Survivor Series ever.
We do have to address, though, obviously, the people that are upset with the addition of Charlotte. And you and me, we were talking to a couple weeks ago there on the podcast that we thought, or it might have been during the pay-per-view live event, we thought that Charlotte was still probably going to be added to this match somewhere down the line. We were saying it would be nice to see Becky Lynch versus Charlotte with the chance to go on to WrestleMania, kind of do that sort of thing. That doesn't end up happening, and we end up getting Charlotte added into the match, which will most likely turn into a triple threat down the line. I'm not opposed to this. I'm certainly not thrilled. Let's put it that way. I wanted to see Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey one-on-one at Mania. I think one-on-one matches have a bigger build to them. I think there's a bigger feel to them, and a one-on-one main event would have been historic for those women. But regardless, what you get now with Charlotte is you get a veteran presence in that ring. You know that Becky Lynch is going to have good chemistry with Charlotte, and it allows Ronda Rousey not to have that much pressure on her. Can you imagine only wrestling for a little over a year and being in the main event of WrestleMania and expected to tear the house down in the hottest storyline going on in the world right now? I don't know, man. That's a tough task to put on Ronda Rousey, and I totally understand WWE's idea to put this into a triple threat match. I'm not thrilled about it, but I get it.
The one thing I will say about where triple threat matches, especially at Mania, feel amazing, where the hype is there, is when it's an underdog story of a Rey Mysterio, or a Daniel Bryan situation, right? Where it's okay, that feels big, that feels great because it's even more adversity to overcome. But that's not the case with Becky, because it's not like it's Becky was probably going to lose against Ronda alone, and then it's oh, she's got to overcome Ronda and Charlotte now. No, it's still it would have been great 1v1.
Yeah.
But the one thing I am intrigued about this is, one, how they're going to essentially remove Becky's suspension to turn it into a triple threat, or maybe it'll still be Ronda versus Becky. I don't know.
Yeah,
right? Maybe we still get that.
Well, here you go. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. They could very well do that, like you're saying, the Becky versus Charlotte, to get to WrestleMania. If they wanted to find a way for Becky Lynch's suspension to be removed, it would be very, very simple. Come back for this one match, right? If you win, you're going to Mania. Your suspension will be lifted. If you lose, you are out of the match completely, and you're done. Or if you lose, you're fired. Something like that, right? Like Vince McMahon saying that to Becky Lynch. Yeah. All right, you want to prove to me that you're better than Charlotte, that you deserve to be in the WrestleMania main event instead of her? Well, how about you prove to me at Fastlane, and if you lose, you're fired, right? Hey, I don't know, my best Vince McMahon impression I could do, but
the one thing that I am very... It might just be me fantasy booking and the wheels turning and everything, but I'm intrigued to see, and this kind of takes full circle about what we started the night on, saying Triple H's character feels like he's for, Triple H feels like he's for Becky Lynch.
Yep, a little bit.
In this night kind of showed it. It was it almost feels like he's for Becky Lynch, like he's for Seth Rollins, he's on their side. right? So now it's starting to be like, is this just me overthinking, or is this the start of the Triple H Stephanie McMahon takeover of Vince?
Oh man, dude, if that ends up happening, I'm so down.
Where it's like Charlotte is Vince's girl, Becky is Tripp's girl, and
man.
it's like,
and Ronda is AEW's girl.
Yeah, and Ronda's
AEW.
Ronda's
imagine that. Oh.
Kurt's girl. I don't know.
Yeah. Just man. No, I like that.
Is that the start?
See, it could be. They could be planning something like that for down in the line. A Survivor Series, if you want to make it feel really big. Holy crap, nothing more important than a Team Triple H versus Team Vince McMahon for control of the company. Like, if you really wanted to play that up, you could. And oh my god, imagine if Triple H brought up most NXT guys to compete for him in that match. Oh my god, imagine Team WWE versus Team NXT. What if Triple H invades with NXT?
Let's move on.
Oh no, oh my god. Our minds are melting. Your minds are melting. This is what you get on the pod.
Let's go to SmackDown.
Okay.
Go to SmackDown. Let's go to SmackDown.
Oh, all right. Okay. Charlotte Flair starting off SmackDown Live. Solid promo. Charlotte's a great heel. Hopefully this feud stays hot and not going to be about Charlotte mainly the entire way. I want to see it be a little bit more about Becky Lynch. That's all I got to say there about Charlotte. Do you have anything there?
She's really pissing me off, which means she's doing her job.
Love it. All right. So SmackDown Live, we're going to probably rip through fairly quickly because there wasn't a lot to talk about other than that Gauntlet match. But obviously there's still a few little things. So Fabulous Glow versus the Iconics versus Sonya and Mandy Rose. Thoughts on this match?
I liked it. I liked that the Iconics literally didn't tag in once.
Loved that. What I'll say about the
match.
Iconics there is that I love the fact, like you said, they don't tag in and then they attack after the match. Love that. Put the spotlight back on them. Great job.
I like that the babyface team of Carmella and Naomi, though they're not starting the match like Boss and Hug are, the Raw babyface team, they got attacked after the match. So now they have this babyface aspect added where they're going to be battling shoulder injuries, right? Like, so I like that. I like that we're going to get to start the match with Boss and Hug versus Fire and Desire?
Yeah, Fire and Desire. See,
Mandy and Sonya. I don't know. I think that should be a good start.
It's a good start. I think they might have made the Naomi payoff come a little too soon. I would have much rather, Mandy Rose pin Naomi again in this match, causing her to start the match. And then eventually Fire and Desire would be eliminated by the Fabulous Glow. And that would have come full circle. You would have got a payoff for that whole storyline, right? Like costing them the tag team titles. As opposed to getting the comeuppance that they got to start the match now, right? I would have liked to maybe see Fabulous Glow versus Boston Hug start off the match. And then you've got that story of Mandy Rose and Naomi. And then Naomi would eventually finally get her revenge on Mandy. I don't know. That's me nitpicking with that match, but regardless, the match was fine, like you said. And yeah, I love that the Iconics didn't tag in throughout the whole match and then attacked them at the end. They showed that they're a little smarter than they are cowards. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited for this Elimination Chamber match, that's all.
All right. Yeah, me too, man.
The two triple threat matches have just done a better job of making me more excited, I guess.
That's fair. Yeah, me too, man.
They did their jobs.
They did their jobs, and at the end of the day, that's all that you want. McMiz TV. Time for the McDonald's sponsored Miz TV show. It was fine. Only way they really were able to build up the tag team match, I think, with the Gauntlet match being on the show. There was no time for really anything else. They delivered their promos, got mad at each other, created a little bit of hype for the match this Sunday. How do you think the match goes down, though? Because I've been thinking about it. I want to say...
I think Usos win?
Yeah, I want to say Usos win and Shane turns on Miz, but, like, they could keep the titles on Shane and Miz for a little longer.
Could.
Like, a win over the Usos would do wonders for their tag team run.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Usos are still probably...
Well, they said it. They're the best tag team in the world.
Yeah, they're amazing. And, I mean, if you want to sell a match... Usos can do it like they just feel hype always.
Always.
It's
Stay
like,
hype.
listen, this match is going to be amazing because we're in it. And I sit there and go,
yeah, all right, that's fair.
You're right. You're right. It's going to be amazing because you're in it and you're not bullshitting me.
Yep, he's speaking the truth.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited for the match. I hope, as an Uso fan, I'm like, I just always love to see them with the titles. And also I want to see Miz's singles see what's going on for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I do too. Like, I don't think
even if it's just a match against Shane.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too. Yeah, nobody really thinks that the Miz and Shane are going to be holding on to the tag titles going into Mania. So putting a team like the Usos, have the Usos ever been on the Mania main card? Because I know that was a thing a couple years ago with Talking Smack. Have they reached that main card yet, or have they only ever been pre-show? Because
I think only pre-show.
Is it only pre-show still? So I don't know, man. Giving the Usos the tag titles going into Mania, especially after the year that they've had with the feud. Was it within this past year, the feud against the New Day, or is that over a year ago now?
It's over the last 2 years for sure.
Over the last 2 years, okay. Anyways, though, like, it's time to give them the Mania moment, I think. Let's see.
That's another thing. Like, you can very easily go into WrestleMania, Usos versus New Day, and just be like, listen, we steal the show every time we're on it. We need our WrestleMania and it could be about that. It could be about their WrestleMania moment. Be like, listen, we have never had better matches than when we're in this ring against you guys, and we want to fight you at WrestleMania.
It's time for our WrestleMania moment. Last time ever. Build it up as like, I know it's not going to be true. You can't build it as last time ever because it's such a good feud. You always want to go back to it. But yeah, you know what, man? Give the New Day something to do at Mania. Give the Usos something to do at Mania. They're going to tear the house down. Put it as like the first match of the night if you want to, and let them tear the house down.
Let them main event. Let them main event, and it'll be great.
Yep. All right, let's go on to the Gauntlet match now. Easily the match of the week for both of us. It was fan-freaking-tastic. The rise of Kofi Kingston, and you brought a good point before the show, talking about Mustafa Ali. Why don't you tell the viewers and the listeners what you think about that?
Well, Mustafa was supposed to be in this match. He's supposed to be in the Elimination Chamber, and he was replaced by one of the members of the New Day. Which one will it be? That's the whole storyline going in. Turns out that it's Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston put on a phenomenal showing where he was in the match, what'd you say, for 50-some-odd minutes?
50 minutes. He was in there over 50 minutes, yep.
He pinned the WWE Champion. He pinned Jeff Hardy. He pinned Samoa Joe. And then he had a hell of a sub match against AJ Styles, where he ended up finally tapping out. And it was just this amazing showing where even when AJ came out, it was like AJ went to him and was like, listen, you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to do this. Just call it.
I love Kofi getting in his face, though, saying, like, I'm ready. I'm ready. Like, shoving him back and all. Like, come on, that's awesome.
But the entire thing just made me think, was this match the exact same? Just replace Kofi with Mustafa Ali.
I wonder that too, man. I wonder.
Is it like, is that the exact same match just with Ali in there?
And if that is the case, holy crap, WWE sees something big with Mustafa Ali. But what they
it felt like it could have been.
What they might have accidentally done here, though, is put new life into the New Day. Accidentally putting Kofi Kingston into the spot and how he got it, and now all of a sudden, he is a legitimate threat to win the championship. I don't know about you.
He pinned the champion.
He pinned the champion.
2 other guys in the match.
And going into the Elimination Chamber, he's not starting off the match. Kofi Kingston, and I mean, obviously, if I want to look into this even deeper, like, it is Black History Month, and there's never been a black WWE champion, or African-American champion. You never know. Kofi Kingston, if there's ever going to be somebody who deserves it, it's Kofi, right? At least right now in the current state of WWE, I don't think there's more of a deserving character out there who has never won the big one to win it, other than Kofi Kingston.
Well, he's the member of the New Day that whenever it's talked about the New Day, like, listen, they're an amazing faction. They're probably never going to break up, which they shouldn't. Like, never break them up.
Mm-hmm. They proved tonight they can stay together and still have fantastic singles matches.
Exactly. But Kofi's always been the one where it's like, if you had to pick one of them who is going to be your main title guy, it's going to be Kofi.
I was going to say Big E, but Kofi as well. Yeah.
I think the only reason why Big E, at least initially, was felt that way is because he's big, right?
Yeah,
like he's
true.
Big E.
But he's talented
but Kofi
as well.
But Kofi's always been like, there's something special about that guy. And he just showed it and proved it. And the one thing, too, that I loved was when he was getting in AJ Styles' face, he was yelling at him, I've waited, 11 years, 12 years, whatever he was yelling. I've waited 11 years for this. Like, let's go. Like, I've waited 11 years for this. It's my time. Like, and it just felt
real. It felt real. And you know what? It probably was to him. It was very much real to him. This is his opportunity. He's waited 11 years for this. Like, shit, man, if he ends up winning this thing, I'm going to pop so hard.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
It at the very, 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 very least, the final two should be Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston if you don't plan on putting the title on someone else. At the very least, let us buy into that fact that Kofi Kingston might do it, and then have the heel Daniel Bryan just put an end to all of our wishes and stab that dagger right in our hearts, right? Like, I don't know. That would be a great way to end the Elimination Chamber, having Kofi Kingston have to tap out to Daniel Bryan or passing out to Daniel Bryan.
The one thing I love about this match, too, is Kofi, when he finally tapped out to the calf crusher by AJ, I love him because at this point, the New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods, have been thrown out from ringside. They were in the back.
Yeah.
But as soon as he tapped out, like literally the second that he tapped out, they ran to ringside to help their brother.
Yep. And AJ Styles went over to him as well. I love that.
And it just felt like it. In that moment, I was watching it and I'm like, oh, man, that's just like, that's brotherhood right there. Like, that shit is their family, right? Like, they will always be there for each other.
I agree,
like, they
man.
weren't allowed to be ringside. And then as soon as he was done, they were like, we got you, brother. Like, you don't expend any more energy because you don't need to. We will physically carry you to the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a moment where I was like, shit, yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right, that happens.
That's it. That's brotherhood. Like, that's what it's about.
That's that.
Right? Like, it made me think of, like, growing up sports, like hockey, football, whatever, where it's just like, oh, yeah, no, they always have his back. The littlest of things, like, I got your back, don't worry.
It's fantastic to see.
It was awesome.
They feel like a real tag team, you know, and when you look at like the roster and you look at like potential factions to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in the future, damn, the New Day seems like they could be one, don't they?
Oh, hands down.
Like
they're one of,
as
in
a
my
faction,
mind, they're one of the greatest factions of all time.
Yep. I think though, to push them, well, because they're a tag team, right? They haven't ended up pushing up into singles competition. I think this is the opportunity to make them feel more like a faction again. Mm-hmm. With Kofi Kingston showing off that great ability in the ring there, why not push him, or why not push Big E towards his solo championship, or even Xavier Woods? Like, you can expand the New Day out from being this tag team to becoming a faction, and a dominant faction at that, and keeping them together, because I think the three of them together are gold everywhere they go. Doesn't matter whether it's YouTube, doesn't matter whether it's on WWE and in interviews. Like, these guys are gold every time they're together.
They went on the Tonight Show, and they were great. Like, that's how big of stars these guys are.
They're massive.
They can go on the Tonight Show, and you're like, that's someone who we are okay with representing WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Like, them, Triple H went on, like, 70 McMahon. I'm like, that's the only level of the New Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not many other people other than John Cena, whatever, that you're like, oh, that person can go on a late night television talk show and be like, we're okay with them representing us to the world.
Exactly. They're in a very trusted state. I mean, Xavier Woods is like seemingly in charge of all of WWE's like YouTube stuff that they do. Like, he put on like that League of Legends thing there on his YouTube channel. It's insane. He's so well valued backstage by WWE, and the New Day is so valued as well, from merch sales to the ticket sales to house shows. Like, they are so valuable. This should never be somebody that you split up. This should not be a faction that needs to split up, at least not anytime soon, right?
No.
it'd be different if, say, they were to turn heel towards the end of their run and then you want a breakout star like Kofi Kingston to be a babyface out of it. Then you would have the group breakup. But at this rate, no, keep them together, whether they're babyface or heel. Keep them together.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
The match itself, anyway, I loved it. I loved the finish.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the finish because it's such a tongue-in-cheek moment, and it was such a Randy Orton moment.
Yeah.
By the way, the winner of this Gauntlet match got to enter last in the.
That's so Randy Orton,
that's
isn't it?
That's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
And it's this amazing sub match of AJ Styles versus Kofi Kingston. AJ overcomes Kofi. This beautiful brotherhood moment where Xavier and Big E run down, getting Kofi. You hear Randy Orton's music hit.
And you know he's coming.
See AJ Styles get up and looking down the ramp.
And you're like, oh, man.
The entrance, waiting. Like, where is he? And all of a sudden, from out of nowhere.
Of course.
From behind, Randy Orton runs into the ring and RKO's AJ Styles, pins him 1, 2, 3. He was in the match in the ring for all of 8 seconds to win it. And I loved it because I was like, you fucking snake.
Yep.
Oh, God.
That's exactly what he is, right? And the thing that I also loved about it with that is not only did it put over Kofi Kingston, that match was Kofi Kingston's match. It also saved the finish or saved even a future match of Randy Orton versus AJ Styles, something we haven't really seen yet.
Oh, yeah.
It saved that, but it teased it. We got 8 seconds of it or whatever it was.
Yeah, like
so I love
that.
That
could be a WrestleMania match.
It could be. And you know what, dude? It might very well be. Those are two guys going into Mania that could just have a personal feud over no title and it would sell tickets.
Yeah.
And that would be a match I want to see. Like, I really would like to see that match.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
The only nitpicking thing, and I got to do it, I got to nitpick from this match, I would have liked somehow Kofi Kingston to pin AJ Styles, only for Randy Orton to RKO him. Full circle back to their 2010 feud would have been nice. And like Kofi Kingston thinking that he's going to have his best opportunity to enter last in the chamber, and then Orton RKOs him after 8 seconds or something. Like, very similar, putting an end to the match. I would have liked that because it would have put over Kofi on that next level and then made Orton such a despicable heel for RKOing this guy who spent 50 whatever minutes trying to get to the end of the gauntlet, and it's over just like that. Would have been
the only thing is if they go toward Randy versus AJ, it makes sense.
Yep.
Then this finish made sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. If they go towards that, it does make sense. And like I said, it's just a little nitpicking thing. It's just a moment. It's just a callback that I would have liked to see. But who knows? Maybe we get that callback inside the chamber as well.
Yeah. And the one thing too about this again, which we touched on earlier in the pod. Show how you determine the order of the gauntlet. That's all. All I was wondering is, but like, why is it Daniel Bryan versus Kofi?
Yeah, why is Daniel Bryan starting? Right? Yeah, like, exactly. Why was Randy Orton the last advantage?
One? Yeah, why was Randy the last one? Why was AJ? Like, all I thought the entire time is, but why? Like, why are those people there? Why is that person?
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like with the Royal Rumble. It's like with the Royal Rumble. Sometimes you see, like, I know in past they've had like those number draw things, and I thought that was awesome.
I loved it when they used to do the number draw.
Like, they don't show you, but they pick the number out, right? And it was just a thing backstage, like the week before the Royal Rumble, and people were walking by grabbing their numbers. And then some of them you would see like who was going to be number 1 or who was going to be this number. You would get the occasional mention. I like that. I thought that was really, really well done.
Or even just getting to see the reaction of like, oh no, or like, yes. Or the one time they did, I think it was a Ric Flair like stole someone's.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Somebody stole it. I'm not sure who it was, but I remember exactly what you're talking about.
I think it was Ric Flair and Eddie Guerrero were involved in the segment where one of them stole the others and switched it, and it was like number 28 for number 10 or something like that. And yeah, like those are fun.
It's just fun, and that's at the end of the day, just have fun with it, WWE. Have fun with the TV, have fun with the writing, and the fans will have fun, right? When you're telling us that, like, when you're so serious with your product all the time, right, that sometimes the fans will end up taking it far too seriously as well. Bring a lighter product.
Entertainment.
Yes, and entertain us, WWE. That's all we want. We spent 3 hours watching you. We want to at least be entertained. But I believe that is absolutely everything for this week, other than your superstar of the week. Who is that?
Kofi.
Oh, yeah, it's Kofi for me, too. Yep.
Match of the week, obviously, for both of us was Gauntlet.
Yep. What was the best match?
Did you have a sub match? Did you have like a match in that match?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you there. Good question. I would have to say probably Daniel Bryan Kofi, because I did not expect Kofi to pick up the win there to start things off. That was my favorite one in it.
That was me too, and it went like those two alone went for half an hour.
Well, yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, Kofi and
there was
Daniel
storytelling.
Bryan.
There was the aspect of New Day getting thrown out, Rowan getting thrown out, Rowan interfering, yada yada. Kofi looking like I was like, oh yeah, they're not gonna let Kofi pin the champ.
Yeah,
and then he pinned.
And he pinned the champ. Yep.
So
it was good. But yeah, like I think that brings it to the end of the podcast today. Where can we find you on Twitter there, Bob?
Bob's Wrasslin, BOBSRASSLIN, Bob's Wrasslin.
And you can find me on Twitter at Conman167. I'm trying to do the exact thing that guy just did. There it is. Conman167 right there. But that'll do it for us. I've been Con.
And I've been Bob.
And that was the Con and Bob Podcast.